not in my league. You out of place. I'm not at the top. I'm outer space. Can't eat with us. We're out of place. I'm doing fine. I'm feeling great. You're not my fan. You can't relate. Straight talk going state to state.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your host, your boy, George Mackay, back again with another one. And as you can see by the picture that's right in the corner of the screen right now, I got a special one. You've seen him in WWE. You've seen him in Impact Wrestling. He is currently right now in NWA Wrestling because he is your reigning, defending NWA television champion. Please help me welcome to Straight Talk Wrestling, Elijah Burke, a.k.a. The Pope. How are you, sir?
What up, George? And thank you for having your boy here on Straight Talk Wrestling. I'm excited to be here. I feel great about coming here and shooting the gab, if you will, with you, my friend. But just remember when you introduce, now your Pope isn't big on titles. I'm not big on all that stuff. But man, when you say NWA television, be sure you put world in front of that. We're talking Dusty Rhodes, world's television champion. Talking Nikita Koloff, world's television. Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and the list goes on.
You're right. You're right. I apologize for that. That's all on me. I'm going to do it again one more time because I owe you that much. Welcome. You're reigning, defending NWA World's television champion, The Pope, to Straight Talk Wrestling. Was that better?
There you go. That's a lot better, Daddy. I appreciate it very much.
All right. So, Elijah, my first question is your time in WWE. Around 2007, in June 19, 2007, to be specific, you wrestled Chris Benoit. Now, I'm not bringing him up because I want to get into the unfortunate incident that happened 5 days ago, but he was one of my all-time greats. In the ring, I feel there was nobody better. I've never had the ability to talk to someone who's actually been in the ring with him. So for me, this is huge. In terms of his in-ring ability, and we can go back and walk through all of his bodies of work, he was a master in the ring. How was it wrestling Chris Benoit in his last match?
Well, first thing is you cannot deny the ability, the skill set, and everything that Chris Benoit was. Certainly a Hall of Fame talent, and that can't be taken away from him. Unfortunately, we know the story, but I've been asked that question a couple of times. I've talked about it on my Post Point of View podcast with Elijah Burke. Chris, in the last days, as far as me wrestling him last, I did the loop with him. So I wrestled him in Georgia as well, Columbus, I believe it was. Not Columbus and whatever. But it was in Georgia, and I can never do that Ric Flair stuff. Ric Flair is 72 years old, and he could just name the dates, the places, the arenas. Like, God, how do you remember all that? I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast this morning. But nonetheless, Chris Benoit was himself. He was the same Chris that I've always known since I've been in the WWE. And to have that distinct honor or not, depending on how you look at it, as far as wrestling him last, I certainly didn't want to be known as the last guy to wrestle Chris Benoit, but I was. And it was, for me at that time specifically, and even now, it was just a great honor. You're talking about somebody that I grew up watching, somebody that I was watching kill it in WCW, no pun intended, Lord. Yes. But he was tearing it up in WCW. He was tearing it up in WWE. Big horseman guy, you guys know NWA. So to have Chris Benoit select me, handpick me to be the guy that he wanted to elevate, it meant a lot. And while I got knocked, felt like my back exploded during that matchup when he came down with that flying headbutt in the opposite direction, it was everything for me, and I was looking forward to having more matches with him.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of my favorite matches of yours. That, and actually the match that led to up to you and CM Punk having that 2 out of 3s fall at Vengeance Night of Champions. That is hands down, I think, one of the best stories I ever saw CM Punk tell. And I think that's a credit to you. I appreciate CM Punk for what he is. I'm not a huge mark or fan of his per se, but I do appreciate his body of work. But I got to ask, and this is not to throw shade, so if it comes across that way, I do apologize. But in terms of CM Punk, a lot of people classify him as that pinnacle of that time period. Would you agree with that based on some of the work he's done? Because I've seen him have so-so matches and I've seen him have great ones. That 2 out of 3 falls in particular is one of the great ones in my opinion. And that's a credit to you.
And I appreciate that. When it comes, you can't take anything away from a CM Punk. You can't take away anything that he did in the ring and whatever show he was a part of. That all goes down to who's in at the moment, who's out, who's been focused upon, who's not. And CM Punk was chosen. And when you talk about the greatness of anyone, you have to talk about not everybody, but certainly when it comes to CM Punk, you got to talk about the guys who he was in there with, which you have credited me for my part, because it takes two. And so, it's all about elevation. It's all about how you make other people as well as yourself. And that is what determines when someone is truly great, when they can get in the ring and tell the stories, like you said, and then also convey it in such a way that you're able to connect with the audience. And CM Punk obviously was able to connect to the audience. So you got to give him that credit.
Oh, absolutely. The pipe bomb still goes down as hands down one of the best promos of that period. I wouldn't say best of all time.
Yeah,
definitely best of that period. But in terms of connecting with the audience, I mean, I connected with you very quickly from when you debuted with the New Breed to when you were doing color commentary with Joey Styles. I thought you two had great chemistry. And I know a lot of people look at these particular time periods that we're speaking of in ECW as the kind of downtrodden times.
Right.
ECW with the WCW polish, it wasn't the same product that the Attitude Era kids like myself grew to fall in love with. But it still had its moments and its bright spots. And I would have to say, though, that I think your commentary run with Joey Styles, you two played so well off each other to the point where, I don't know, man, it felt like a love-hate relationship on both sides. I think you two love to push each other's buttons.
No, it was very, it was not a long tenure. Obviously, I was just filling in for Taz. And, when you're on television and you are doing anything, you have to play off of each other. CM Punk couldn't be a great good guy if he didn't have a great bad guy. Hogan couldn't have been the superhero if he didn't have the supervillains. And so when you sit down with somebody like Joey Styles, and I'm making my mark as the new face of Extreme, as I had no idea that I would be, you have to be that character. No one is watching to listen to Elijah Burke, the boxer, or Elijah Burke, the officer. No, they want to know and listen to Elijah Burke, the leader of the New Breed, or if not the leader of the New Breed at the time, then certainly Elijah Burke, the bad guy. So when I get on there, me being the bad guy, being the cocky character that I was, then it was a great play, and Joey was great, and he encouraged me to be that, to be that character. That's what I can't get on there and do play-by-play. That's Jim Ross' job. That's Tony Schiavone's job. That's that's Michael Cole and at the time Joey Styles' job. That is not my job, nor is it Mike Adamle. So I don't know why they brought him over, but he gave it a nice try.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You're 100% right about that. So in 2008, you were released. And you went on to the independent circuit, and you had a lot of great matches on the independent circuit. I found snippets here or there, but leaving the big lights and bright stage of the WWE and going back to the independent circuit, a lot of wrestlers say they find themselves again in that time period. They hone their craft a little bit better. They cut their teeth, if you will, on the indies. But I feel like when you came in working up through the OVW system and all the stuff that you did, you had a great run in OVW your first time around and your second time around. But in terms of going back to the indies before you went to TNA, do you feel like that made you up your game as a performer, going back down to the indies and redeveloping who you are as a wrestler and a character? Okay,
well, hold on, George. Now, hold on now. Now, Pope's not trying to be one to correct you, but you said back down to the indies. I can't go back down to the indies if I've never been there, George. So
yes.
So when I started specifically under WWE and OVW.
Yes, you did. Yes.
So that's where I started my whole game at. So it didn't, once I left WWE, it didn't cause me to do anything but to continue to get better and be. I learned so much under the Arn Anderson and Dean Malenko and Fit Finley, and so once I got to the Indies, you know, I can still count on my hands how many times I've been to Indy, because it was something that I never did or was used to or accustomed to. So my time between WWE and TNA, oh man, I may have done like 5 to 8 appearances on the Indie,
Right.
if that,
Right.
Before debuting in TNA.
Yes, you're right. And I apologize about that. I didn't mean back down as it was a demotion. I meant as in going back to, not even going back, but
no, yeah, I didn't mean a demotion either. I'm just saying, because that happened to guys. Guys start on the Indies, then they make it to WWE or wherever they want to go, and then they end up going back down to the Indies, as you said. But that don't really apply to me in that specific, time, because I had never done the Indies. So me going to the Indies was something new. I had a chance to have fun. It was fun. It was exciting. It was like, wow, I'm not being sheltered or ushered by the WWE's, machine and the big buses and all that stuff, and people cater. So it's like Patti LaBelle said, I'm on my own. And so I was on my own, and it's like, okay, let's see how this goes.
Absolutely. And good throwing out the Patti LaBelle reference, man. I mean, if you had thrown out a Sam Cooke reference, it would have been like, oh shit, we're like best friends now, man. I love me some classic Sam.
Yes, sir.
Change Gonna Come.
Yes, sir.
Cupid. Don't know much about his. Oof, I still have those songs on my playlist. My kids make fun of me all the time. They're like, Dad, what is this? I'm like, this is classic. You don't know, show respect. You have no idea what this stuff is. But I am a big fan of Sam Cooke for sure. But I do like the Patti LaBelle reference, 150%. Your time in TNA, you had a lot of cool things that happened in the time in TNA. I mean, you aligned yourself with Kevin Nash and Sting. I'm a Sting guy. He's one of my all-time top 5 all time. How was it like working with some of these legends? Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, Jeff Jarrett staring across the ring from you, all that kind of stuff. How was it working with some of these all-time greats? Like literally all the names that I mentioned, yourself included. Yeah. I mean, that's goats. That's dudes who've been around. That's a lot. That's crazy.
That was one of the, and obviously everybody knows, if you followed my career, then a lot of people, there's Elijah Burke, and then there's Pope. I did an interview. A guy said, hey, man, it's just crazy because you can take Elijah Burke and you can take Pope. You can put them side by side, and they're 2 different characters and whatnot. And so when I got to TNA and did the whole Pope, which we were working on in WWE, so they wanted me to be a televangelist and preach hellfire and brimstone. And I'm like, that's not Pope. So that's not what this Pope character is about. So I got a chance to me, myself, and I put together, handle, direct, guide the whole character of Pope. Blessings from the all great one, power that be, Vince Russo, that everybody loves or loves to hate. And, so to be in that position to work with the Kevin Nash and, the Sting, and it was look, me and Sting would share a locker room together. He had his own room. I would be in there with him, and Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner and Booker T. And so to work with and amongst those legends, I told the story whenever, when the whole Hulk Hogan thing happened some years ago. I'm walking from after a show and Hulk's all bloodied and he's in his office, and he's like, Pope, brother, come on in, man, come down. And I'm like, oh, I'll just come to say, have a good night. Thanks for everything. He's like, oh, come on in, have a seat, grab you a cold one. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it, Hulk. Now, Pope's not a drinker, and Hulk and them love those Budweisers and Bud Lights and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, what a cool moment. And I look back now and go, well, God dang, Pope, you should have just took a sip at least. What a story you would have had to tell. But that's what it was like. It was a kid being around his heroes, his idols, and I, while I wasn't a kid, the little kid inside of me was still in disbelief to be a part of TNA's quote unquote version of the Wolf Pack, me, Sting, and Kevin Nash. Bruh, it didn't get any better than that.
Absolutely not. I thought it was a great time period. That's when I actually, again, it was just by luck that I fell in love with TNA at that point in time. I started watching again because, again, I was a Sting guy. So in and around that time period, I was like, oh, I got to see what he's doing. Because
and before you continue, we were supposed to look, man, this would have been the end all be all for me. It would have been top of my list, obviously, unless it could have been Dusty Rhodes. But it was supposed to be me, Sting, and Kevin Nash versus Samoa Joe, Jarrett, and Hogan. Oof. And Hogan ended up getting that back surgery because he needed it so bad, and he thought it was going to help him be ready, and things didn't go the way as planned.
Absolutely. That would have been crazy. That's something that I should probably, when we're done, I would probably turn on my PS4 and be like, man, let me see if I can recreate that. I can get all these guys. I can download the packs. I can do that.
I would have been taking that boot, brother. I would have sold it like nobody else.
Absolutely. I want to take a turn onto your boxing career. Now, again, the internet, I did all my research off that. I knew enough of your career, but I wanted to go back and really try to get the points I wanted to touch on. Your amateur boxing career, you were 102-1, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right on that? Tell me I'm right. Please tell me I'm right.
WWE version 102-1. WWE, yes. Everything gets bigger.
Right.
Actually 98-1.
Oh, 98-1. That's it. That's all. That's horrible.
Yeah. Wait. Let's get them over 100. 102.
So, was the WWE version right as well as the one being because you didn't go back to your corner, or was that was correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. But 98-1, man, that's impressive. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that you didn't follow suit, maybe going professionally with all that stuff, right?
Well, I kind of landed into that stuff from, Guns and Hoses. Obviously, I was put in the Hall of Fame as well. Mm-hmm. 2 rings before Ric Flair, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I was just had a need to want to entertain. And that's literally what I was doing. So while my amateur record is also compiled of my tough man competitions. Mm-hmm. So I would fight once on Friday, and twice on Friday and once on Sundays, any given week, because it was just that much fun, the adrenaline, and I'm just out there entertaining. I don't like beating up people. I don't like hurting people. I remember knocking the guy out, and the first thing I did was cradle him, got down, cradled him, and called in, for the medics to come into the ring because the guy was hurt. And if I could have walked out there to the ring when I was boxing or doing a tough man and just made an entrance and got in the ring and then left, I would have did that. So that's why I didn't follow into that, because that was never my dream. It was never my goal. It was something I fell into, ended up having fun, and I tried to get to 100 wins.
Tried to, but just felt just so short. And then, WWE, they made up for it though. They gave you that extra 4 wins. That extra 4 wins made the huge difference that it did. But right. I gotta ask, because in WWE, you're in the machine, you're kind of instructed on the way things need to happen. But going to TNA and developing the Pope character and stuff like that, did you feel like you had more creative freedom?
Well, that's literally what I just told you a couple of minutes ago, George. And I know you got to go with your question and your little format. Mm-hmm. But yeah, absolutely, man. It was a Pope thing. I guided it. I guided that ship. I took it in the direction it needed to go. TNA at the time, they were going to have me come in as Elijah Burke. That's what you do when a stock has already been invested in something, specifically a name, And so when a name comes from the machine, it already, it serves more purpose for your product to push that name versus then to try to recreate the person behind the name. Mm-hmm. So they wanted me to be Elijah Burke. And after I wrestled Sean Spears in my first match in the Impact Zone in a dark match, I remember Jim Cornette coming to me, who was like, birthed me basically into the business. He goes, all right, so what are they going to do? Are you going to be a heel? Are you going to be a face? I don't know what they're going to do. I said, well, they had me to go out there and work, as a face, as a heel, And then, Jim was like, but they said you was going to be a babyface. How the hell with these people? You know how Jim Cornette is. And so after that matchup, I'm walking out and I happened to come across Vince Russo. I've already went to my bag. I was going to find Vince Russo, but he happened to be coming out of the Impact Zone at the very same time. And we have tapings going on right then and there. And I wasn't a part contractually yet. I wasn't obligated to them, but I got my DVD that I brought with me. It had like a 4-minute introduction to who the Pope was, the whole entrance, the getting in the ring, the stuff that you see with the Dark Order. I swear one of those guys were with me when I put the Pope together, because Pope walked to the ring. People, it was like a cult, and got people sweeping my way as I'm walking. There are two guys a guy and a girl sweeping. They got straw brooms sweeping as I walk down the aisle. As I get to the ring, somebody else forms steps, and then I hop through the rope, and then they all run in and form a chair. And I swear to you, one of those guys were in OVW. I don't know who it is, but one of them were there. They got that idea from that. In my estimation, it's just a long shot. But nonetheless, I showed Vince Russo. I say, Vince, could you take this? It's only like 4 minutes. Could you go in the office and watch it? I would really like to do. This is what I was working on in WWE, before I got my little ankle injury, and then on the sideline, and then, as you said, got sent home. So Vince went in there, and he looked at it. He said, bro, I'll go look at it right now, bro. Just no, I'll go look. I say, Vince, please, I'll go put it in right now. Here, give it to me, bro. He goes, he puts it in. I'm standing outside and I'm waiting, and he comes power walking, almost like in a hurry. He goes, bro, you have to be the Pope, bro. You gotta do the Pope, bro. Forget Elijah Burke. Be the Pope. I already got the name, D'Angelo Dinero, bro. You know why? Because the Pope is money, which is what Dinero stood for. So Dinero was a Vince Russo thing.
Well, you know what? You actually said bro better than I think Vince Russo says. That was on point. I felt like Vince Russo was here with us at that minute.
And then just to put the icing on the cake here and to top it all off, Vince never tried to, of course they would say, hey, this is what we got. But Vince would go, bro, be Pope, bro. Do you? He said, and I'm waiting for Vince to do like these interviews and these pre-tapes. And I'm like, Vince, hey, we're waiting. And Vince, come on. All right, Popey, what you got, Popey? And I'm like, well, Vince, I don't even know the scenario here. Come on, bro, just be Pope. Just come on. I'm like, but you gotta let me know who I'm talking about, and so that's kind of how I did my stuff. And Vince goes, I can't write for you, bro. Like, I'm a 40-year-old Italian from New York. Like, I can't, you are Pope, Pope. And so that's the creative freedom I had at TNA. And it was obviously, I was having a blast.
Absolutely. And it showed it in television every week for your run there. And it was, like I said, one of the most enjoyable experiences I had a fan. So thank you for that. And that's what I meant by the creative freedom, that you just had that room to breathe. And that's what's so cool about it when you hear stories like that, because you knew you had that room to breathe and to grow and to elevate. Or as I've taken from one of my favorite wrestlers here in the Ontario indie scene, Holden Albright, you level up. And that was definitely one of those level up moments for sure. And then, what was a level up moment for me is that I've been an NWA fan since Billy Corgan kind of took it over and made it a thing. I was faithful on the YouTube. I was a subscriber from like the first time I found it, and I loved everything about it. And then something cool happened. A kind of geek out moment for me in 2019, you showed up. And I was literally sitting down in my computer, and I was taking a break from editing one of my episodes, and I was watching. And I literally had a can of Coke, and I got the same desk that I do now. And I had a can of Coke over here, and I was, 10 or 15 minutes into the episode. I went to take a swing of the Coke, and then I saw the music hit, you came out, and I wish I could have recorded it. I spit Coke all over my wall. I still have a couple stains because I was like, holy shit. I was like, shit, like that's sick. I was so excited. But then I was very upset a year later because you beat my boy Zicky Dice for the title, but I'm okay with it now. I'm okay with it now. I've gotten over it. And it's been
Yeah.
a great run. But no, that match, again, you debuting in 2019, that was a huge moment for me because I've been a fan of yours for quite some time. And then you taking the title from Zicky Dice, as far as I'm concerned, nobody could have taken it better than you did. So, and let's talk about that match with Zicky Dice, because I love the story that you told in that match. And that's what I call wrestling. I call it the great dance. It's art form. It's a story without words. And a lot of people don't appreciate the art form for what it is, but I do. I really appreciate the fact that you can have these high and low moments, these peaks and valleys, all that stuff. And that's what the great thing about wrestling is, because the time for talking is over once you step through those ropes. Right. And you guys told a great story that night. But talk to me about winning the NWA World's Television title.
Well, again, I have nothing but respect for old Zicky Dice, and he and myself, and that whole moment was something that I can't even tell you how it came to be. And you hear my girl Shaka going off. I tried to get her taken care of earlier, but just don't pay her no attention.
It's all good.
So so she excuse me, not she. Gosh, she's so distracted. Oh, somebody's out there. I should have shut it. But anyways, you know, when I came into NWA, I'm sitting at home, I'm watching NWA Power. It's the only show then and for me now that I could sit through and watch in its entirety without 45 minutes to an hour, 50 minutes, whatever the case. The commercials were hella entertaining. And I'm sitting here, I wouldn't fast forward through those geeky 80s styles commercial because they were so funny and entertaining. I don't care how many times you saw it. I wanted to see more. And so I would sit and watch it. And so I'm like, man, this NWA stuff is really good. The presentation, it's an old school presentation with a new school feel. And I tell people that's the thing about an antique. You don't go to the junkyard, buy an antique car, and then try to dress it up with all the new, things that you have today to put on cars, because then it's no longer an antique. However, you refurbish it and you restore that antique as much as you can to put it back in its original state. And that's what Billy's done with the NWA. That's why it's special. It shows, it looks special, it has a special feel to it. Even now that we're back and without the crowd, it still has that feel to it. So going on to Zicky Dice and myself, I came in NWA, Daddy. They hit me up and I said, okay, you know what? Look, man, I'm watching y'all. So I dig it. Let's, I'll come down and let's do this. But yeah, we want you to, we want you to come in and be a mouthpiece. So I came in and I'm there, then we want you to manage. Just like when I went back to TNA, it's always, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, but it always leads to them getting me back in the ring. And so that's what happened here. And, people may have forgotten that Zicky had issues with me from the moment I turned him down upon that very day. Mm-hmm. So that's how we got back to Zicky and Pope in 2000, and 20, and that's how that happened. So when that match went down, it was everything that it was. It was a great match. I enjoyed working with Zicky. And the story, as you said, is easy to follow, easy for Mr. and Mrs. Walmart to comprehend what's going on. Guy gets attacked before the match. He's put through the table. There's no way that the guy is going to win, but he got a fighting heart. He comes back and he succeeds. I had no idea. Pope became the NWA World Television Champion, and it was business as usual for me. Business took an unexpected turn to reality once I got back to my hotel, once I opened up my phone, once I started going to social media, and I couldn't respond to my texts because it was too many. And then I go to Twitter and it's flooded so much as I'm opening my messages, it keeps going up. And then there's a Twitter notification where they contact me and go, hey, we would like to step in because they think it's spam. If you would like us to help, we will control your messages. That was the message I got the night I won the NWA championship, because it was so many. Same with Facebook. I still have messages in there I haven't checked. I couldn't get to all of them. And the same with Instagram. So it was at that moment that reality hit me, and I go, man, I don't know what it means to anybody else, but me growing up in NWA, and as I said at the top of the program here, Dusty Rhodes, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Nikita Koloff, Bobby Eaton, Stunning Steve Austin. Bruh, what more is there to say?
There isn't. There absolutely isn't. And like I said, at the time I was bitter. I was one of the fans that my message to you on Twitter was very simply, congratulations. There was nothing else I could write. Just, okay, congrats. But my message to Zicky was, I feel for you. I really poured my heart out. But to you, it was like, yeah, congratulations, you won. Great. Thanks for ruining my life. Thanks. Good thing I didn't have any money on it, or I would have been screwed. But then, you know, you mentioned going back to reality. Also, too, right before you win it, literally three to 4 months later, depending on the timeline of what country you're in, COVID strikes, and everything slows down, everything stops. And then this past February 2021, I had Nick Aldis on the show, and I was pushing, I was plugging, because I was hearing things, but it's always rumors till it's factuated. I was like, is there anything you can tell me about anything that's happening? And all he kept saying was, Nick Aldis is great about going around the question, kind of like you said before we recorded. If I need to work around it, I will. He just said, there's things I can't talk about. There's things in motion that I can't talk about. And wouldn't you know, 2 weeks later, or actually the week I dropped the episode, bam, we find out about Back for the Attack. And I find out you're going to be defending your title against Tom Latimer. And I'm a big Tom Latimer fan. So I'm like, damn, I'm a Pope fan. I'm a Tom Latimer fan.
So am I.
I'm not going to make the wrong decision this time, though, Pope. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put my eggs in Pope's basket. Now, you guys went to the first time I'd seen it in a while, a time limit draw. No winners, no losers, time limit draw. And I saw the clock tick it down. I'm like, fuck, man. Something's got to happen. And there were so many close finishes. The story was epic. And then at the end, you tried to show respect. You tried to say, listen, let's do it again. Rick stuck your hand out, and Tom just rolled out of the ring. And I was like, that's not classy, Tom. That's not classy. And I literally, that match right there, that won my wife over, because my wife's a big wrestling fan. Wow. And she hadn't watched NWA with me at all. And I said, babe, I'm ordering the pay-per-view. Sit down. It was a Sunday afternoon. What do we got to lose? Let's order it. Let's have some fun. So we did. We ordered it. And and then she saw that match. She's like, holy crap. She's like, is that Elijah Burke? I'm like, no, that's the Pope. It is Elijah Burke, but it's the Pope. Yeah. And I said, and that's also Tom Latimer. That's Camille Brickhouse's, that's Camille Brickhouse's better half. And I've had Camille on the show, and she's great. But I love the NWA product. It's much like you said. I'm going to quote your words. You can't go to the junkyard and put all this new school stuff on a classic. You refurbish it, you bring it to a little bit modern, but you keep that style. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely love the NWA and everything Billy's done and everything you guys are doing. Now, this episode is going to drop in June, so we're pre-recording ahead of time. So hopefully by that standpoint, you will still have the television title. I believe you will. I'm not saying anything. I'm not asking for any spoilers, but I believe you will. But what is next for the Pope in NWA? If by chance the television title is no longer in your hands, will we be going after the NWA World's title? Will you be going in against Nick Aldis? Because that's something I would love to see.
Well, first off, let me give a shout out to old Bram, as I like to call him. I never thought, I was a big supporter and huge fan of Tom Latimer in Impact Wrestling when I was commentating, okay? And I often refer to him as the maniacal nutcase, and he is that and then some.
I like it. How did you like that? I'm going to steal that, by the way.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to steal a lot of stuff, but have at it, brother. But that match, Back for the Attack, when you got to the whole roster, most of us are coming in cold, okay? Coming back, and we're coming in cold. And to go out there and put on that type of athletic performance was something that I felt bad for everybody else, because as you said, I ain't gotta say it, but we know what type of match that it was, and I know that it over delivered, and more importantly, the story. I always go back to the story. Everybody can get in the ring and wrestle. You have individuals who are sitting at home right now that can mimic every move that they see on television, but it's the story that one has or have the ability to tell in the ring that makes the difference, that separates one match from the other or separate them from everybody else. You know, get in the ring, throw a super kick, throw a Canadian destroyer, do this, do that. Everybody can do it, but who has the ability to connect with the audience through the television screen? That's what my concern is. That's what I focus in on, and I believe we did just that. As far as June and moving on to our next pay-per-view, When Our Shadows Fall, spoiler alert, don't worry, don't wonder whether or not Pope's gonna be the NWA television champion. I don't plan on giving that up until I get my 7 victories, Daddy, and therefore I have no business being in this business, or anybody else should not be in the NWA if they don't have the mindset to go after Nick Aldis or whomever is the champion, you know, holding the 10 pounds of gold. So that's Pope's, you know, that's my end game. So whether I have that title or not, I plan on winning 7 times. I plan on turning that title in. I plan on going after and securing the NWA World Championship.
Well, all I could say is this when that happens is, and you can quote this to Billy from me, you could steal this and pass it on to him. You could say, George down in Canada says, shut up and take my money. I'll pay for it in advance. I'll pay for it in advance, goddammit, Pope, I will.
Yeah, man. There's no point of me there's no point of me sticking around if I don't want that title. And that's what I want. You know, history. Nick Aldis has been the centerpiece. When you talk about the antique, well, he's been that emblem on that antique car, you know, on the hood. That's Nick Aldis, and he's been that. Much respect to him. He's been a great champion. And 900 plus days as a champion. And I think I think if Pope have anything to say about it, his time would come to an end. You know, we're not going to let him get to 1,000, just like Pope didn't get to 100. But he's had his turn. And Pope plans on having his run.
And I cannot absolutely wait for that. And I like I said, I love the nostalgic feel. And when I say I'm going to steal stuff, I'm only going to steal out of respect because everything.
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely, man, have it.
So 2 more questions, and I think we'll wrap it up. Your charity, the Love Alive charity. I did some research on it. I made a donation, and I completely I love all that kind of stuff. I love giving back to communities as much as I possibly can and sharing the stories and getting to have great conversations with amazing talents like yourself. But talk to me about the charity. Tell me about the charity and all the fantastic work you guys are doing over there.
First off, I want to thank you for checking in on us. I want to thank you, George, for contributing to our charity as well. The Love Alive charity is something I started in 2012. We're going on 10 years come January. Fantastic. It'll be 10 years. How did that come about? It's real simple. Your boy growing up in Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. I'm walking to the store Saturday morning. My mom working 2 jobs, leaving money on the counter, saying, okay, somebody go get some cereal and milk. And oftentimes I'm the baby boy, so I would be selected to do it, or I just wanted to do it. But when you walk into a store, a grocery store, and you have grown men and women are begging a 10-year-old for some change because they don't have anything to eat or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? That I never forgot that stuff. I never forgot. I always thought one day if I had the ability to do so, because I grew up around it so much, even going to school, if I had the ability to make a change in my own way, in the way that I could, then I would do that. And so that's what I did. And it came to a head 2012 when or 11, I'm in the parking lot of McDonald's. I'm having a conversation with a family member, and all of a sudden somebody drives through, throw a McDonald's bag into the big trash can out there. And I saw a homeless guy walk up to that trash can, take off the lid. It was at night, take off the lid, searched through that bag and found what was left over and started eating it. And my heart sunk. And so it was at that time I said, okay, now's the time. I have to do what I can. And here's the cool part, George. Here's the cool part. You can head over to Pope TV on YouTube. There's several of my events are in there. You know, we try to hold biannual events. I got an event coming up, Great American Clash, which is a fundraiser in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a wrestling show. Going to have JB Cool and Fighting Evolution Wrestling, JTG. We're going to have Flying Brian Pillman Jr., Rebel of AEW. We're going to have a list of others that's going to be there. And this is all in part due to my charity, because sometimes it's hard. And I understand people don't want to part with their money. But I always say just $1 helps. $1 will help make a difference, because we don't feed these people out of a truck. We don't feed them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in a brown bag. We feed them directly out of Burger King. You go watch one of those videos, you'll see 400, 500, 300 people, whatever, at any given time, lined around the block. Women from the battered shelters, you know, who have been in abusive relationships with their kids, people who've just on the street homeless or just been released from jail, whatever the case may be. I tell people it's not everybody didn't choose to be homeless. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody will want to just live on the street, but we take care of the kids. We have toys, we have book bag fills with essential needs for them to achieve academic success, and the list goes on and on. So if you guys get a moment, head over to love-mark, that's the dash, subtraction sign, love-alive.org. You can read about the charity as George did, and you can make a contribution by clicking the donate tab, and anything helps. And we appreciate your contribution, George. I really, really do.
Absolutely. And I felt like, you know, it was a small amount, but again, I've been blessed enough to be working through this whole pandemic and be able to put food on my family's table. It's the least I could do. And it was an honor to do it. And don't think it's going to be the last one. I can promise you that. There's going to be more coming for me. I'm going to do whatever I can to spread the word as much as I possibly can, because I think it's a fantastic organization. And I love the fact, especially what you do for the kids, the toys, the books, and all that stuff. It's those little things that get people through, especially in this time of uncertainty. And like you said, every dollar helps. So anybody that's listening to this or watching this, or even seeing my eyes right now, I'm being very sincere when I say this, go over, hit up the link, make a donation, $1 or more, whatever you could spare. Every little bit helps, and it's worth it. And Mr. Pope, my final question before we wrap it up, and then you're going to do that video, thing for me to set up the episode when we can. You've told so many great stories in the ring, and there's not enough. But I here on Straight Talk, I ask the tough questions.
Go ahead.
You could look at any of those amazing stories that you've told over your career thus far. Is there one or two that stand out that you consider right now at this point? You could say, that is my strongest piece of work to date in the ring.
That's so unfair.
I know. I know.
So because I feel like obviously there's been bigger stages where I've done bigger things with legendary names and great performers as well. But off the top, number one, I want to say, the two matches, the story-wise, these Back for the Attack, that's not just me. I'm just story-wise, and then Darren Young on Power, story-wise. You know, this is not no edited stuff. When you see that clock up there, you know, this ain't no WWE, Daddy. This is NWA. It's one take. Go out there and get it done.
That's right, baby.
So they're not doing no editing. So not only do we have to tell the story, but there's a timer as well that we don't see. You'll hear the referee saying, okay, you got 3 minutes left, 2 minutes, whatever the case is, right? And that's the ref's job. And it's a time limit, so he got to let us know. And you can clearly hear him saying that. So modern day, those are it for me. That, even with Zicky Dice, gosh, it's just so many great stories. And that's not, fluffing my own balls, if you will, but I'm just saying. But prior to that, AJ Styles, Lockdown, CM Punk, 2 out of 3 falls. Those are my favorites.
Isn't it funny that I mentioned pretty much almost every match except the AJ Styles one? And it's just, I wasn't sure how far we were going to be on time. So I just wanted to make sure. But you know what? Everything you mentioned, I can't disagree with you. And since it's my show, I wouldn't disagree with you, because that would be disrespectful to you. But the Pope, this has been an absolute honor and pleasure. And I'm going to have you back some point down the line. We got to do this one again because this one was a blast. I had so much fun. I hope you had as much fun as I did. And before you go, please let the people know where on the wonderful world of social media they can find you. And again, please send us that or shout out that link again for your amazing charity.
I appreciate it so much for giving me the opportunity to do so, Daddy. You guys can go over to Facebook.com/Elijah Burke, Facebook.com/Elijah Burke, aka the Pope. You can also follow me on Twitter at the Black Pope, as well on Instagram, the Black Pope, and that's D-A. D as in dog, A as in apple, Black Pope. Well, why is it the black? That's because I'm the first of my kind, Daddy. So you can follow me on there. You can head over to Pope TV to see some amazing videos that I share for my charity, and just some exclusive stuff that I put up on Pope TV on YouTube as well. And then, guys, last but not least, you can follow me and my podcast, Pope's Point of View podcast with Elijah Burke, across all podcasting platforms. Hell, I might got to bring George on and just shoot the gab and talk, do a little review or something, because this guy shoots his own, he shoots his own gun and he ain't afraid to shoot it. So I like the fact that he fires off like that. And last but not least, certainly, guys, head over to love-alive.org. And again, $1, $2, all I'm trying to do is encourage you to help me and my charity be the change that you wish to see in the world.
Fantastic. And it's 100% truthful. And you're absolutely right. I follow you across all those platforms. And it would be a stellar. I'm already friends with you on Facebook. That's right. Elijah Burke and I are friends on Facebook. That's how we set this up. It was pretty cool. When he accepted my friend request, I geeked out a little bit. And then like 3 weeks later, there he is on NWA, and I'm spitting coke all over my wall. I got to save that. I gotta have to cut a piece of that drywall out and have to send it to you so you can
listen, when the time comes, you'll know when to share that. You'll know, because there's going to be a globe around my waist. So that'll be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, again, Elijah, this is an absolute pleasure and an honor, and it was great to talk with you. And we're going to have to do a part 2 down the line for sure. Much love and respect for everything you're doing in the wrestling business and outside the wrestling business. And follow this man, spread his word, because the charity and everything he's doing is absolutely perfect, and he is classy. And now I'm honored to say I have officially met my Facebook friend, and I could call him my friend.
Indeed.
So, yes, sir. So from all of us here at Straight Talk Wrestling, peace, love, and wrestling. We'll talk to you guys next time. Peace. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to tune in next week for another great episode on all available podcast platforms and hosted on Podbean. Also, check us out on YouTube at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Instagram at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Facebook at Straight Talk Wrestling, and on Twitter at _Straight Talk. And if you feel the need to buy some sweet merch, check us out on ProWrestlingTees.com.
Leaving the scene with no trace, none in my league. You out of place. I'm not at the top, I'm outer space. Can't eat with us, we're out of place. I'm doing fine,